Welcome back to another episode of Norse Studies with Zakk. We're going over the culture of the Teutons. If you haven't watched any of my episodes, they're in 10-minute intervals. We're just reading this together. Feel free to start at any episode that you've missed. Go back through my page. You can catch up with us. It's pretty easy. We're just going to go through this book together, kind of discern what Wilhelm Grönbeck is trying to say about Norse culture. And there is but one passion that can let loose this accumulated force, his passion for honor. For the Northman to be affected by this, or that in what he meets, depends on something that has happened, something past and something ahead, an event which has happened to himself or his ancestors, and an event which must be brought to pass for the betterment of himself and his descendants. So, this goes back to the situation at work, right? So would it be better to defend myself, lose my job, and possibly affect my children and my family? Or would it be more honorable to suck it up, get through the hard times at work, and make situations better for myself, and possibly get a better job, and bring to pass the betterment of myself and my descendants? Just a thought. He does not live in the moment, as I've said. He uses the moment to reckon out how can it serve him to the attainment of his end. That's exactly what we've been talking about. It's exactly. Don't act in the moment. No matter how emotional you get, no matter how angry you get. There are a lot of guys out there who think that it's honorable if somebody calls you out. If somebody comes and... It's more honorable if somebody comes and punches you in the face. It's more honorable to take a step back, get in a defensive position, and figure out what's going on before just jumping into a fight. Because it's more honorable to attain your end goals than to get in a fight and get locked up that night. See what I'm saying? He does not hate a thing for its own sake or on his own account. For if he can purchase a chance of revenge by giving up his dislike, he tears his hate away. And where he can gain a chance by enmity, the hate wells up again and is in undisguised power. This does not mean that the Northman is temporarily beside himself when he is seeking redress for his wrongs. Surely, an avenger is all the time a son, husband, father, a member of a legal community. It is not a question of laying aside his humanity, but on the contrary. This wholesale humanity of his puts on the armor of vengeance and comports itself accordingly. In these very moments of ruthless self-assertion, the Teuton rises to moral grandeur. Herein lies to us the test of understanding. There is something in the Northman's attitude towards life which chills away our familiarity at first sight. And if the chill is not felt very acutely nowadays, our complacency is largely due to the romantic literature of the 19th century. By a love too ready and too undiscerning, the poets and historians have smoothed away the strong and wayward features of the saga men and toned down these bitter figures into recognized heroes and lovers. So he's saying that modern writers, the people that are closer to us, the people that we read, have diminished what the Northmen really were and made them into more of a people that we could understand. It's like, you know, for instance, if if you go tell a 5-year-old, that, hey, the guy who killed your uncle, I killed him. The 5-year-old's not going to understand. They're not going to understand context. They're not going to understand. They're just going to be horrified. Now they're in a room with a person who's killed someone. Right? But if you tell an adult, yeah, the guy who killed my brother, I killed him. Adults will understand why you would do something like that. Even if it's the wrong thing to do, they would understand. They would see some sort of justification in that thing. They would say, oh yeah, I would go crazy too if somebody killed somebody I loved. So this is saying that we're the 5-year-olds, and the modern writers have been teaching us things in ways we can understand, but not actually giving us the real concept of who the Norsemen actually were. The old characters have been imperceptibly modernized with a view to making them more acceptable. The hardness and implacability of the Northmen have been pushed into the shade of their heroism and generosity and tacitly condoned as limitations, while the fact is that these qualities are based on the very constitution of their culture. If we are brought up suddenly against their everyday life, we are liable to brand them as narrow and even inhuman. And we do not immediately recognize that what we call poverty and inhumanity means nothing more and nothing less than strength and compactness of character. Page 11. The ancients are just, pious, merciful, of a moral consistency throughout, but on a foundation such as could not suffice to bear a human life in our own day. So he's saying in ancient cultures, in most ancient cultures, regardless if they're Teutonic or not, they have their own ways of expressing themselves, joy and happiness and things like that. They're not morally incorrect compared to what we are now. There's just no way that they could live the same way that we do because our culture has changed. I'm going to stop right there. If you guys want to get something else out of these videos, if you want them to be longer, if you want them to be shorter, please comment below. Rate, comment, subscribe. It helps me out. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.